Good evening, everyone. Welcome into Vol Society Live on this Tuesday night. My name is David Morrison from the Vol Society, here to break down this Tennessee Georgia game with y'all. This is not just my show or Brad's show. This is your show. This is your chance to let your voice be heard. What do you think about this upcoming Tennessee Georgia game this Saturday, 3:30 Eastern Time, 2:30 Central on CBS from Neyland Stadium? Going to be a raucous crowd. So, like I said, the chat room is open, whether you're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Leave your comments and your questions. I'm going to be directing traffic with your thoughts and your comments. And like I said, yeah, let's talk about this game. And we'll also have to talk about last week's game. Don't want to talk about last week's game, but that's why we are here. And maybe you have a better idea of what's going on. Brad's in the chat room. Our founder says, I'm all Vol, but still, what do I say last week on here? Not much to say about last week, and it's just unfortunately taking the sell out of this game quite a bit. Obviously, let's go ahead and get the bad out of the way. Timothy says, we got our butts kicked by Missouri, and you're right. Let's go ahead and get the bad out of the way, and then we'll talk about Georgia, which I don't know if it'd be much better, but we're going to try our best. Tennessee lost last Saturday, 36-7. It was just an embarrassing performance by Tennessee. No question about it. Uh, Offensively, defensively, special teams, we just out coached, outplayed, completely dominant, and Missouri wanted it more. Uh, Brad says, "Didn't I say we would lose?" You did. You did. Tracy watching us tonight says last week took the importance out of this game. You're right. Kind of going back to the what ifs. What if Tennessee would have won? What if Ole Miss would have beat Georgia on the road? Yeah, this game would have been significantly better, but uh, it's just the way it is. You still got to play the games, and Tennessee was not inspired to play this game last week. Phil saying, good evening, David and Brad. Mark says, if they play perfect and everyone shows up to win, they can beat Georgia. They are inconsistent, especially on the road. Uh, Tracy says, Brad, sometimes it doesn't pay to be right. Brad says, Josh Heupel is going to have to make some hard decisions at the end of the year, I believe. Uh, yeah, definitely so. Hello to my grandparents watching along. And then talking about Jimbo. I'll get to Jimbo in just a moment. But yeah, I mean, this is, looking, I've been kind of thinking about this season this week. To be honest with you, just kind of just reflecting of what we have seen. I mean, obviously, I think we put a lot of stock into Josh Heupel, and I'm not trying to bash Josh Heupel at all. I think he's done a wonderful job at the University of Tennessee, but I think we put a lot of stock into what happened last year and what happened in the Clemson game, and now here we are. Uh, on November the 14th, then, it's not looking really good right now. But, this is an opportunity to come back home, a place that you've won, 16 games now, and you got the number one team in the nation coming in. It's going to be a tough challenge. But like I said, this game last week with Missouri just took a lot out of this game. So we'll see. Tracy says, wish we can play all the games on the road. Oh, boy. Uh, and Timothy talking about a lot of the talents like Walter Nolan hitting the transfer portal with Jimbo now being gone. Um, yeah, definitely. So Phil says, I walked too far out of the limb. Brad says, I say this, I bet we play Georgia better than Missouri. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but you watch and see. And kind of looking at um, Susan watching us tonight says, I think we lost our confidence. Just kind of looking at your comments, and there's just a lot of mixed emotions. I think probably more negative, and you definitely have the right to be negative about where we're at. But I think it's just kind of a lot of mixed emotions. It's like you're coming off this Missouri game, you kind of semi know what to expect, but you also don't know what to expect. You do feel confident coming back home. Everybody remembers what happened with Alabama last year. Although I think there was a lot more confidence going in that game than this game. But we'll see. But I mean, I'll go ahead and give Missouri credit. Missouri came out and played. I mean, Eli Drinkwitz had a great game plan, and last couple of years giving up 60 points to us, he completely came out there and kicked our tails in. And you know, Brady Cook had a fantastic game, 275 yards passing, 1 touchdown. Did throw that interception to McCullough. Cody Schrader, what can you say? 35 carries, 205 yards, 1 touchdown. Also led the team in receiving, 5 catches, 116 yards. Cody Schrader just pretty much just dominated us and really killed our defense. Uh, Brad says, buddy, they embarrassed us. Yeah, they did. It was just an embarrassing performance. And Brad says, I think Heupel's going to have to make some decisions at the end of the year. Uh, I mean, you're going to have to just see, okay, I understand Heupel's loyal to his coaches, and I'm happy that we have this great chemistry with this coaching staff and the players. But uh, I think we're going to have some hard talks, some come to Jesus moments with this coaching staff, and figure out who's going to help us in the future, and who's going to have to maybe find somewhere else. It's going to be interesting to see. But like I said, we still got this game, and we still got 2 more games after Georgia, Vanderbilt, and the bowl game. A lot of comments coming in. Phil says, "Well, Kirby Smart gives us good words, but we have to show up this week." Timothy says, "Oh yeah, Nico finally got his first touchdown against UConn. Yeah, he did. Uh, yeah, I'm happy for Nico. I'm actually happy I got to record that on my phone." Marla watching us says, "We can beat anybody at home. Believe, go Big Orange." And that's true. I mean, you have the college football's current longest winning streak in the Georgia Bulldogs of, I think, over 25 wins against, our untouched home streak. Last time Tennessee lost at home was to Georgia in 2021. So we shall see. Mark says the fans needs to show up Saturday and show Georgia what loud is. Absolutely. I mean, and I don't know what Georgia fans think, but I'm sure that they're looking at this game like this is definitely the biggest road game we have faced in 2 years. I mean, they went to Jordan Hare earlier this year, squeaked out a 7-point win there. Uh, Vanderbilt wasn't much of a threat. So this is really their third true road game. I mean, they were the road team against Florida down in Jacksonville. But this is really their third true road game, and this is definitely their toughest environment they have faced. I mean, yes, they've already clinched the East. They're going to play Alabama and Atlanta. But can Tennessee, rise the occasion and play spoiler and cause havoc to the college football playoff committee? We shall see. I mean, that would be talk about a wave of emotions, having the down low of Missouri and then having a high high if you do pull this out. Timothy says next year is Nico's time, and indeed it is. And I think we've talked about this before, Timothy. I think we've kind of wasted some opportunities early on to really get Nico some snaps. But we shall see. I mean, I'm excited about Nico. I think he's definitely going to be the future. He's got a lot of potential, but I think we kind of miss a couple of games there where I really wish we got Nico a few snaps under his belt. But he does have the touchdown against UConn, so we shall see. Brad says, on a bright note, our basketball team is a Final Four team this year. Yeah, they're doing well. They're playing Wofford right now. I'll give a score update in just a moment. They look pretty good against them, and big tournament going to the Maui tournament next week, and which I'll talk about that towards the end of the show because that's going to affect Vol Society Live next week with the Maui tournament, and I'll explain towards the end of the show. Brad says, totally agree. It's Nico's team next year. Toby watching us tonight. See, oh boy, Toby's going Georgia 52, Tennessee 7. We suck. Ooh, Toby going big time blowout. All right. I mean, I understand. I understand what you're going from, Toby. I mean, I understand with that performance last week, giving up 7 points to Missouri and then blown out. and Georgia putting 50 against Ole Miss. I can kind of see it, but I don't see really Georgia putting up those big numbers like against us, and I'm not saying it's going to be a close game either. I'll give my score in just a minute. James says, keep in mind Georgia stopped us at home before, but I'm all Vol all the way. Timothy says Nico's better than Hendon Hooker. Could be. We shall see. Tracy says, I thought if Milton didn't throw on the interception against Missouri, we would have had a chance. So I don't know what to say about our strategy against Georgia. Good point. And I think, let me go ahead and read my mom's comment. She says, Dolly is going to be at the Tennessee Georgia game Saturday. Yes. And then Toby says she'll be leaving for halftime. Yeah, so Dolly Parton is going to be at the Tennessee game on Saturday. My assumption is why she's gonna be there is probably has to do something with the Pride of the Southland band, possibly singing a song with the band. That's kind of what I'm gathering. I could be 100% wrong. She may be there for just publicity, but I remember last year the Pride of the Southland band did a Dolly Parton show last year, and they usually recycle a lot of their halftime shows. So with her in town, maybe she'll be singing some songs with the band. That's kind of why I'm assuming she's going to be there, but I've been wrong before. Let's see here. Toby says Joe's trash. Mark says we also lost some key players to injuries. Yeah, Dante Thornton uh, out for the year, high ankle sprain, huge loss. He had the only touchdown against for Tennessee on Saturday. Definitely a huge loss. Just going to have to add more pressure to our wide receivers. And it seemed like we kind of had a good nucleus going into that Missouri game with Thornton finally coming to play, and then Squirrel and Keaton had a good game against Missouri Saturday. But now you're going to have to rely on Caleb Webb and Chaz Nimrod. I mean, they've already had to fill in for Brew. But the wide receiver room has took a major hit this year with the injuries, even with a good quarterback. Let's see. Phil says Wisconsin's is getting beat again by Providence. Hey, Kim English, former Rick Barnes assistant coach at Tennessee, now at Providence. So go Friars. James Parker says we got to tighten up the defense and control the offense the whole game. Absolutely. I think, to me, if Tennessee has a shot in this game, they got to be physical. They got to play physical defensively. They're going to have to go after Carson Beck. They're going to have to go after the running backs, and they can't make silly mistakes. I mean, I think you're going to have to be. It's going to have to be a low-scoring game if Tennessee's going to get the win. You're not going to beat Georgia in a shootout because you know what they are defensively. I mean, if you're going to get the win, it may be like a 3-0 game or a 14-7 game. It's going to be you're going to have to keep it low scoring, in my opinion, if you're going to get the win. Let's see. Okay. Marla says if we have nothing but negativity, we are beat before the game. Dolly, win-win. Awesome. Mark says Brew McCoy was a huge loss. Brad's going 54-20 Georgia, but he still says go Vols. So he's going 54-20. Toby says Georgia's going to win it again. Hate to tell you that. I agree. Brad continues on. After what I saw last week, my score prediction is valid. We just don't have it this year, folks. Phil says, how many players can come back next year on COVID? I'm not sure right off the top of my head. I have to kind of go back and look there, Phil. I don't have that information. Apologize. James says 27-6 is going to have to rock Beck's world. Yeah, talking about Byron Young and James Pierce Jr. Yeah, you're going to have to get to Carson Beck. You're going to have to force Georgia into some down situations. Like I said, Georgia this year they've been better offensively than they were last year with the mailman. I mean, Carson Beck is no joke. He's already thrown for 3,000 yards on the year, 18 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. Dejon Edwards, 692 yards rushing, 10 touchdowns. And, of course, Brock Bowers is back. Ladd McConkey has really stepped up for them offensively in Bowers' absence. So, um, expect Beck to go to him and love it. So it's going to be interesting to see. But like I said, I trust our defensive line. I trust Rodney Gardner. Uh, Tim Banks going to have to dial up some pressure on Beck to get him in some hostile situations and get that kneeling crowd ready to rock and roll uh, on third down and try to make some stops. Which, by the way, Tim Banks was named a semifinalist for the Frank Broyles Award for the nation's top assistant coach. So interesting there. Mark says, we all know we are underdogs, but it can be a major upset. Go Vols. Yes, absolutely. And, anything can happen. I mean, any given Saturday. Tennessee's only let's see, as of last check, was like a 10.5 point underdog going into the game. So it's not like, we're down 31 points or anything. Let's see. Timothy says this Tennessee basketball is fast. It wins the Badgers and Michigan State. Yeah, I'm really liking this team. I'm liking the quick shots. And I also am a huge fan of Dalton Connect. I think he's been a big addition. Mark says Tennessee basketball is up 68-52. Thank you, Mark. Marla says, yes, pressure. And Phil says, I'm not making any predictions this week. James says, all the more reasons to get Nico in. They've been watching Milton all season. Change it up. If it doesn't work, please adjust. Yeah, absolutely. I've kind of had that discussion this week with other people. It's like, why didn't Nico come in for the Missouri game? It's a value question. I'll say, I didn't think Nico would play in this game. I figured Milton would go all the way, win, lose, or draw, and I still kind of think that way. But I think also if you do get into a down 4 or 5 scores, you might have to go ahead and just plan for the future. I mean, yes, you're going to a bowl game. Yes, you got senior day the next week against Vanderbilt, but you might as well go ahead and plan it out. And then even when you go into a bowl game, even though I hate this, you're going to have players that's going to opt out for the NFL. And, you're going to have to kind of still make adjustments and stuff. But it is what it is. Brad says his basketball team is unreal. More basketball talking, I thought, which is awesome. Tracy says, I saw a post that this is a big recruiting weekend, so Neyland needs to show the recruits how fun Tennessee football is. Yeah, I saw before I went on the air, the number one, I think it was either offensive tackle or defensive tackle is going to be in town this weekend. And I'm sure a lot of recruits, both for Tennessee and Georgia, going to be there. But, yeah, hopefully some 2025 guys will make the decision to come to Tennessee and continue to build this out. Brad, talking about the basketball team, I think this is the best team we have had. It's definitely most experienced team Barnes has had in a long time. And adding Connect was a huge dominant in the rough. Timothy says we need a different offensive and defensive coordinator. Interesting. I go back and forth on that, Timothy. It's we have very inconsistent offensive and defensive coordinators. One week, Tim Banks looks like a genius, and then the next week he looks like he should be getting the can. And and Joey Hazel, this is his first year there. I'm almost want to give him a mulligan year since this is his first year. But losing Alex Golesh has been a big significant part of why we're at this year. I mean, and like I said, I mentioned this before. I don't blame Alex Golesh for taking the South Florida job. I mean, become a head coach at in the American Conference where the most dominant teams in the American Conference the last 10 years have moved on to the Big 12, and now you have a chance to become a conference champion in the American pretty soon. So, I mean, it's good for him, kind of bad for us, but that's kind of what happens when you reach success. Phil says, "What bowl are we going to this year?" Looks like it's going to probably be between Gator and Music City, from what I'm kind of reading. I think Citrus Bowl, it looks like it's fading away at this point. It looks like because of us having the 3 losses. Now, if we come out and pull out a win against Georgia, it could open back up. But I think they're leaning towards Ole Miss. But it looks like Gator Bowl and Music City Bowl is kind of where I've been reading lately. Outback Bowl or Reliquist Bowl, whatever it's called now, uh, maybe in the running also. Let's see. James says, boys, bottom line, Georgia can be beat, and we need the ones to knock them down. Go big orange all the way. Absolutely. I think we know. Obviously, the crowd's going to be ready. There's no doubt. 101,000 Tennessee fans with some Georgia fans sprinkled in there. They're going to be rocking and rowdy. They're going to be loud. They're going to be uh, filled up with beverages, and they're going to be right into it. It's just, can that team feed off the energy and pull off one of the biggest upsets in college football? Um, Timothy says, Eve, if we even get to a bowl game, we've got enough. Oh, talking about if we can get to a bowl game, we got enough wins to get to a bowl game, Timothy. We've already passed the 6 wins. All right, I'll go ahead and give you my prediction. This is what I'm going with. I'm going with Georgia 38, Tennessee 20. And interesting stat that I've read. Like I said, every time Georgia has been the road team, the offense has scored 20 points, so all kind of go the same way. I don't think it's going to be a I don't think it's going to be a blowout. Um, but I don't think it's going to be low scoring either. I think Georgia's they already know they're in Atlanta. They're just going to kind of run their offense. They're going to score some points. Main thing is we just need to limit our turnovers. Um, and I think Tennessee will put up a valiant effort at home. Uh, yeah, everybody's saying no. I'll be shocked if it's that low scoring and close. I mean, I think I could see a scenario maybe being close in the first half, but I think Georgia pulls away in the second, kind of similar to 2 years ago. I think they'll be a little bit more motivated, but we'll see. Um, let's see. Mark says, as long as it's a good game and they play good, no blowout. Uh, Phil says, who to know with Dolly being there, we might win. We shall see. I mean, we don't know if about we don't think there's a Dolly curse or anything. We know about Peyton, and I hadn't heard Peyton's coming or not. Who knows? Brad says we shall see. Adam's flexing on us, watching us on Facebook. Quick shout outs here. Leaving us a like on the Facebook page. Stephanie, Grace, Tim, my dad, Don, Slade, Karen, Jerry, Jose's mama, Janie, Brad, Jane, and Mark, leaving us likes and reactions on the Facebook page. Also, 5 more. Actually, we did read those 5. So, how good is Randy watching? Says, how good is Georgia's rushing defense? Well, rushing defense is really good. They're only giving up 107 yards per game. Uh, giving up 18 points a game. So, still at the top of the line. Obviously, Kirby Smart, a defensive mastermind, and a lot of NFL talent on this defensive line. But like I said, Randy says we are in trouble. Then we could be. Like I said, to me, it's if Tennessee wants to get a shot to win it, they're going to have to play it very low scoring. You're not going to win a shootout. And the thing that scared me, and I mentioned this last week on the Missouri preview about Georgia is the number 1 third down team in the nation. And that's what's going to scare me too. Is it could easily get blown out if we get quick three and outs. Like I said, Tennessee's going to have to kind of attack on those first and second downs, but at the same time, I think if our defense could come to pressure Carson Beck and kind of shut down this Georgia offensive line a little bit and the rushing game, then who knows? Something crazy could happen. Timothy says, my favorite team, the Colts, are 5-5. Well, I'm a Titans fan, and your team's doing better than mine right now, but that's awesome. Even without Anthony Richards. Let's see. And Tim says, depends on which defense shows up. Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I talked about Tim Bates just kind of inconsistent. Tracy says Tennessee has to keep the crowd in the game by scoring early. Yeah, I think so. That's a big part too. That's why I kind of thought maybe in the first half, Tennessee kind of gets a quick score, leading 7-0 out of the gate. That Neyland Stadium crowd is going to be ready to go. Special teams will be solid indeed, Adam. It was just wacky last week with Charles Campbell coming out there kicking that late field goal for nothing. But I trust our special teams, and even D. Williams is going to have a big game too, kind of make smart decisions. Just everything was just in a funk last week, and going to have to get better. Brad says Tennessee basketball won 82-61 over Wofford, so they can now go to 3-0 and get ready to fly to the Big Island next week to take on a variety of teams in the Maui Invitational, which I'll go ahead and kind of mention this too. Tennessee has a possibility to play next Tuesday night at 8 o'clock in the Maui tournament. So to be better safe than sorry, we're going to start Ball Society live at 7:30 next Wednesday night. So I'll go ahead and make a graphic before we get out of here tonight. But thank you, Brad. And I'll go ahead and do that while I'm thinking about it. James says Tennessee's going to have to be tough and smart, not curvy smart. Yeah, that's the thing. And I really want to see these guys motivated to play. I don't want to see a 52-7 blowout and just, oh, well, who cares? We're going to a bowl game. We're going to blow out Vanderbilt next week. I really want to see this team play with some heart and desire and some hunger and, put their best effort against Georgia. That's the thing. Make a note really quick here. Apologize for the dead air here. Okay, there we go. All right, back to your comments here. This team is special talking about. Okay, Kevin watching this tonight. Just got done watching the Tennessee Wofford game. And says team special. James says earning the NIL. Kevin says we need to play with heart. Yeah, absolutely. Timothy mentioning Tennessee with a win over Wofford. Tracy says nobody thinks Tennessee will win, so they'll have nothing to lose, but hopefully their pride at home will make it a closer game. I think so. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So I really want to see this team just make an effort to go out there. I don't want to just kind of just cakewalk it. And I think obviously you saw with Josh Heupel's press conference, he was just mad about the performance, and it's just, which also kind of goes back to you can motivate them too. So that's kind of my one little criticism with Coach Hype. It's just kind of that motivate them. But who knows? Brad says, I agree. I love to at least see a game. Yeah. I mean, I understand you got nothing to play for. Playoffs are completely out. SEC East is out. But like us, and New Year's Six Bowl is out. But why not cause some havoc? Why not create chaos with the playoff committee? I mean, if you give Georgia a loss, I don't think it will drop them out of the college football playoff by no means. But I mean, it could potentially, where they could have been hosting the Sugar Bowl, they could be going to the Rose Bowl as a 4 seed playing Michigan or whoever. So, and Tracy says, let's create chaos. Indeed. Why not? It seems like LSU every year is kind of that chaos team. because by the time the playoffs committees roll around, they play Alabama and Texas A&M, and they're always near the top two. And why not? Why not us? Why can't we do the same thing? Obviously, we're nowhere near where LSU is, but let's just create some chaos with it. Let's not give Georgia more fuel to make another, a third straight national championship run. Timothy says, I'm impressed with this Tennessee Vols basketball. Uh, um, Brad says, we beat Georgia. I'm going streaking. Timothy says, come on, I don't believe we will beat Georgia. I'm not. I mean, you saw my prediction. I don't think so either, but you know, trying to find something out of it. But you never know. Any given Saturday. But I like I said, I'll give credit to Georgia here. I know we're kind of raw the troops up a little bit, but you know, I give Georgia, they are very well coached. Kirby Smart has done a fantastic job. I think Kirby Smart is the best coach in college football. I mean, to me, he's better than Nick Saban at this point. He knows how to go on the road in hostile environments, and he knows how to pull out big wins. And seems like when he is back is against the wall, he knows how to uh, put it to them. So, I mean, this game definitely is a lot different than last year. Obviously, last year we were the number one seed in the college football playoffs. Georgia defending national championship going on the road, and I think it put a little stern in his crawl, and we saw what happened. I think this year's a lot different. Could Tennessee, can they pull a revenge? I mean, maybe they got something in their crawl. Maybe the Missouri game woke them up. Maybe not. I don't know. It's hard to kind of read their minds, but like I said, I hope that they can find a way to make it competitive at least. As like I said, Georgia's right now they've already got what they want at this point. Let's see here. Timothy says Missouri almost beat them dogs. Auburn almost did. Yeah, I mean, Missouri is hanging in there with them. I mean, watching that 2 weeks ago, I mean, it's just the two interceptions for Brady Cook kind of sealed the deal. And then Auburn, I mean, they, kind of looking back at their stats, they did not have a quarter. They really haven't had a quarterback all season. But, Peyton Thorne had a terrible passing game. The rushing, they had a decent rushing game going on, but, they were competitive with them, believe it or not. But, at the same time, we've got the talent enough to compete. It's just, can we hang in there with them? Brad says Georgia and Bama have both gotten so much better as the season has progressed. Props to them. Yes, especially Bama. I mean, we were talking back in September on the podcast, Bama could lose 3 games, and now here they are, kind of back where they normally are. I mean, with one loss, and that was to Texas back in the second game of the season. And Milroe has done a fine job for them. And then, Georgia's gotten better, overcoming big adversity, losing Brock Bowers. And a lot of people thought when Bowers was out, oh, here comes their first loss. Didn't happen. They continued on. Guys stepped up. Lad McConkey stepped up. Lovett stepped up. Even a guy Tennessee was looking at in the transfer portal last year, Ra Thomas from Mississippi State, now in Georgia, he stepped up. So Kirby knows how to get guys to step up. And, like I said, can Tennessee get some guys to step up? That's the thing is we've got the depth. It's just the confidence and the depth. But anyways, Brad says, I'm going live streaking through the streets with Will Ferrell if we win Saturday. And Tracy says through the quad, reference to Old School. Great movie. Timothy says, I say Josh Heupel is here to stay. Yeah, definitely so. I don't see him leaving. And even if you think about next year, with the realignment in the SEC and the addition to Oklahoma and Texas joining, we go to Oklahoma next year, so it'll be Josh Heupel's first return back to Oklahoma since he left as a coach or as an offensive coordinator. You know, and it's kind of I hope we do make some improvements, but even next year, it's still going to be probably about what we see this year, in my opinion. Kind of a lot of uncertainty, unknown, especially now with Nico going to take over. And we'll see what happens with the transfer portal too. I mean, you still got players going to declare for the draft, players going to hit the transfer portal. Um, but definitely Heupel's going. I think Heupel's here to stay. I don't see no teams reaching out to him. Um, Phil talking about still making the old school references in the chat. Anyways, speaking of coaching changes, I'll go ahead and mention this. So Jimbo Fisher and Zach Arnett, head coaches at Texas A&M and Mississippi State, both out of their jobs. Jimbo's came on Sunday. Not surprising to see that, to be honest with you. It looked like the writing was on the wall. They tried to salvage some sort of season. Bringing in Bobby Petrino, that didn't work out. I mean, losing Connor Weigman, in my opinion, is what really hurt their season because he was really playing good for Texas A&M, and then Max Johnson came aboard, and he's just kind of a backup. And now Jimbo Fisher is going to be $75 million richer. I don't see Jimbo coaching for a long time. I think he's going to be happy with his millions of dollars, and I don't see him rushing back into coaching. I mean, he might be a TV analyst, but I don't see him jumping into coaching. And then Zach Arnett, Brad just mentioned Jimbo's making $26,000 a day for the next 8 years. Jimbo is the winner. Yeah, absolutely. So. And then Zach Arnett left or was dismissed at Mississippi State. Not surprising either. And you have to feel for Zach Arnett taking over for Mike Leach recently. Recently deceased Mike Leach back when he died in November, and it's just put in an awkward situation. He completely changed the offense from the air raid back to a pro style, and it just wasn't going anywhere. So just kind of a hit the reset button for Mississippi State, and then we'll see what Sam Pittman at Arkansas. It looks like he may be on his way out, probably at the end of the season. So it looks like 3 coaching jobs coming open for the SEC right now as of recording 2, but I think 3 will be coming open. It'll be interesting to see. Let's see here. Brad says, guys, just wait until next year. I'm telling you, Nico as quarterback is going to be so fun to watch. I think so too. Tracy says, I love Heupel. He works with what he has for players. Maybe he can throw more next year. I think so too. I really want to see, and I think another thing is the lack of confidence in Joe and really watering down the playbook for him and didn't really open it up and have those explosive plays. I still think, I don't think Heupel forgot those or Alex Golis took them to South Florida. I think they're there and there were some glimpses there. It's just, we just couldn't do anything. Timothy says, where's your buddy at? Which buddy are you talking about there? Brad says, you'll see that and running from Nico going to be fun. Yeah. I mean, I really like what I saw against him against Hoke. Oh, Brady Hoke. Yeah, so Brady Hoke is going to retire at the end of the season at San Diego State. So that job's coming open. So best of luck to him. Anyway, so yeah, going back to Brad's comment about Nico really quick here. I think I think Nico's going to be fine too. It's just I kind of wish we had a few more snaps underneath him, but maybe his confidence is pretty high. I mean, he seems very laid back, very chilled. We'll see what comes down the pipe with him, but I like what I saw against UConn, and I love that pass he did to McAllen Castles. Gregory says, "Evening, chat and David. Good evening to you, Gregory. Watching us tonight. Appreciate it. Uh, oh, okay, gotcha, Timothy. You know your friend. He's on here with you. Oh, okay. Normally, I don't know where he's at. Honestly, with you, Timothy. Um, kind of comes in and out. Let's see. Mark says, going back to basketball, 82-61 final ball's looking good in basketball. Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait to see what they do in Maui. A lot of big time games coming up. Greg says, hope Ball Nation shows up on Saturday. I keep hearing a lot of Georgia fans going to try to take over Neyland. I mean, they're going to be there, but if we can get a lot of orange and white in there, we can probably outweigh them at least. But I mean, that's the thing is I've seen it before where we were down, even those Florida and Alabama games, and you had a lot of the opposite color, team color, at the end of the games, and it's never fun. But hopefully I think we'll have a lot of Tennessee fans there, even with the record. Still a sellout game, so it's always good. There's some secondary markets trying to sell tickets. I've noticed some more tickets are coming open. Be honest with you, uh, running between $200 to $400 per ticket, about average. Somebody was trying to sell some for $1,000 over in Section A, which is the Georgia section. I wouldn't do that if I was a Tennessee fan. um, let's see. Brad says, "I promise football will be fun next year. We couldn't do a lot this year because Milton is just a decent quarterback." And he mentioned it will be packed. Uh, Gary says Heupel is not going nowhere. But best coach we've had in a long time. Naysayers need to lay off on our coaching staff. Go Big Orange. Yeah, I don't see. I agree. I don't see Heupel going anywhere. Um, let's see. Timothy says football is awkward. Kentucky beats Florida, and we beat Kentucky. Yeah, absolutely. I think I read a stat something about the Big 12. Like every Big 12 team has kind of beat each other some time in the season. So very interesting there. Let's see here. Phil asking if me and Brad's going to the game. I'm not going to this game. I will be at the Vanderbilt game the next week. Kind of regret. I mean, it's bittersweet. I wish I was at the game to kind of see Dolly, but be honest, no. But I think I'm not going to go to this one, unfortunately. I went 2 years ago, and a lot of these. Honest with you, when we go to these games, like the big games, Georgia, Florida, Bama, as I've kind of gotten a little bit older, the crowds get a little bit more intense and a little bit more annoying, and the just going to the game gets a little more hectic uh, uh, with these bigger games, and I kind of have to make my cutoff point. I mean, it's an awesome environment. I've been to all three, like Florida, Georgia, Bama environments. They're all great. They're all fun to watch. Great college football atmosphere, but um, those games are very hectic to get in and out, and you you have to kind of deal with more drunks with that one. So I have to kind of make a cutoff point with that, but Tracy says I sound like an old man. I know it. I don't know what it is turning 38 or whatever on Sunday. But I still love going to Neyland. Don't get me wrong. I still, like I said, going to Vanderbilt. South Carolina game was a lot of fun this year. Even UTSA earlier this year was a lot of fun too. Um, Definitely so. Let's see here. You may see me on the news streaking if we win, Phil. um, Timothy says, I hate to say it, but Georgia's going to three-peat. It's looking that way. I really don't want to see Michigan win it either. Um, I would love to see Washington win it. if I had to be honest, but even Washington's going to be tough. Let's see. Gary says, "What do you think about Tennessee Vanderbilt game? Your predictions, brother?" Yeah, I think Tennessee's going to probably win by 30. Right now, I would probably go like, probably like 49-7 at this point. We'll figure out a lot more after this weekend, but I think Tennessee will be more motivated on senior day. And, Vanderbilt is just not a good team this year. We mentioned that coach is on the hot seat. I don't think Clark Lee's really on the hot seat, to be honest, but I think next year he definitely will be. Just not a good team. They've had worse quarterback issues than the Vols have. I don't know who has worse quarterback issues in Nashville, the Commodores or the Titans. Probably the Titans, to be honest with you. Mark says, I would prefer an SEC to win it all. Toughest division for sure. And yeah, I agree with you on that one, Mark. I mean, probably I will root for Georgia, I guess, if it comes to a national championship game. But it just feels like with Bama, just kind of deja vu all over again. Jerry says, try being 54. That's true. I still got to appreciate my age. Let's see. Vols should start second string on offense and defense. Let's see what happens. We've heard that too, yeah, on the chats and comments. Uh, the thing is the risk of injury with that, but you never know. Greg says South Carolina A&M games were electric this year. Always takes you out of those. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, the A&M game was a lot of fun too. South Carolina game was fun because I was with Dees and Brad riding back with David Dees. It was a lot of fun. Um, but and also and the A&M game was fun too. I got to go. That was one I went by myself. Set very high for, but it was a lot of fun. And A&M I've never seen live, so mark that off the SEC list. Joey says I've been in Facebook jail, but I hope Tennessee wins this week against Georgia. I'm feeling optimistic. Brad says, I think Vandy might be closer than you think. I'm worried about Missouri. Who knows? My mom says, so I'll go ahead and mention this quick plug here. Next June 22nd, 2024, in Athens, Tennessee, where I'm located, over at the Mittman County High School, Hendon Hooker is going to be the guest speaker for the Athens Chamber of Commerce annual banquet. They have this every year. They bring in a celebrity, kind of talking about their life and their career. This year was Chipper Jones. I got to go to that. That was really cool. Other previous people have been there. Philip Former, Bruce Pearl, long time ago. Tim Tebow, Bo Jackson, many different people has done this chamber event. And Hendon Hooker has been selected to be there next June. So once we get closer, we'll definitely provide that content on Ball Society. So thank you for reminding me of that. Tracy says, I would like a closer game. I feel like the games have all been one-sided this year. Yeah, definitely so. I mean, A&M was pretty close, but it's kind of a snoozer of a game a little bit. But Tennessee kind of held their own. Brad says South Carolina was so fun. Yeah, like I said, we had a great time. I know Brad had better seats. Brad had really great seats. He was in the lower bowl, and Dees was a little bit above him, and then I was like in the very last row with some South Carolina fans, but they were well behaved. I just remember it was like 900 degrees in my row for some reason. It was very hot. It was chilly throughout that day, but I remember by game time going into my section, it was just very hot. I don't know what the deal was, but we survived it and got a win. That was the main point. Bryce says we need to do an interview with Hendon. I'm going to make it happen. Be awesome. Jerry says, watch Nico at spring game. Really like what I saw. Yeah, I really like Nico. I really think he's poised in the pocket. Got a lot of potential. And echoing Brad, I can't wait to see what he does next year. Timothy says, how about that pick six for touchdown versus South Carolina right before halftime? Oh, that was probably the loudest crowd reaction we had all season. I've been to all the home games this year so far, and that definitely was the rowdiest reaction to that from Kamal Haddon. And once again, wish we had Kamal Haddon for this game on Saturday. Gregory says that would be awesome. He ran right at my wife and I. Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to see. Yeah, hopefully, I get to go to that against or for Nico's event. And that's next June, by the way. Got a busy 2024. Got Nico coming to town. Got Hootie coming next year also. Joey says, do you think Nico needs to play this weekend? The only way I kind of see Nico playing, Joey, is if it's a blowout game and, you don't want to get Milton hurt, I guess, or some of the starters hurt. That's what I think. Or, if Milton just comes out there and just throws 3 interceptions and is inconsistent, that's kind of the way I see it. It's hard to say. I mean, be cool to have him start the game and play, but I just don't think Heupel's ready to put him out there just yet. The only way I see it is by injury or by performance, whether it's team wise or Milton wise. Very interesting. Mark says, I don't think they want Nico to get hurt. He's been putting on more weight and size for next year. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, Nico's skinny as a rail, but especially watching that spring game. But I've noticed as the seasons went along, he's kind of bulked up some weight. Speaking of Nico, I saw what day is on. I think it's December the 9th. Nico will be at Alumni Hall in Turkey Creek signing autographs with Zany Pewdie from the softball team. So if you're in the Knoxville area on Saturday, December 9th, Nico will be at Alumni Hall. I did see that today. So pretty cool opportunity there. Let's see. Timothy says, how about Jalen Wright's second play of the game versus UConn, 82 yards to the house? Yeah, that was definitely a spark we needed. And that's why I kind of had a little bit more confidence with Missouri because I'm thinking, okay, this is the best performance we've had all year. Finally getting back to Josh Heupel football that we've seen last year and even the year before. But unfortunately, just UConn was just an awful team. But still, hey, that was a great performance for Jalen Wright. Great game for Milton and just the whole team. Just kind of dominated UConn there, and even though they were a little disrespected to us at the end of the game. Scott says, how do we respond this week? Well, I think kind of mentioned here, I think it's going to have to be low scoring. I think you're going to have to really pressure Carson Beck. The crowd noise, they're going to make some noise, but I think you're going to have to really be pivotal, put them in some long distance situations, make them feel uncomfortable. You're not going to win this game in a shootout. I think you're going to have to just grind it out and find a way to get some points out of it. And just penalties. We can't have stupid penalties. And especially like we saw last week. Got to be more. Got to be very mature in our playing. If not, it could get ugly. Jerry says my wife and kids are all Bulldogs going to get crazy come Saturday at my house. Yeah, definitely a split house there. Hopefully, it'll be a lot of fun. Gregory says, I think if we are down more than 14th a half, we won't win. I say put Nico in at that point. That could happen. There's going to be a lot of decisions to be made during this game and even after this game. And you guys are lighting the chat room up. For some reason, my viewership only says there's 2 people watching, but I know that's a lie because we've had about several commented. So StreamYard's being a little wonky with our viewership, but that's okay. Shout out quickly to Carolyn, Gregory, Joey, Greg, Donna, Mackenzie, Samuel, James, leaving us a reaction, and Gary. Phil says, have a great night. David and Brad, Vol Society, really, really like the show. Thank you, Phil. Yeah, the viewership is way off. Yeah, by the way, Phil, go ahead and put this on here. So next week, Ball Society Live, we're going to start 30 minutes early. I messed that up. Hang on a second. We're going to start a little early next week at 7:30, just in case Tennessee plays in the second round of the Maui Invitational Tournament. So we're going to start 30 minutes early at 7:30 to preview the Vanderbilt game. I don't expect too much to talk about for Vanderbilt, but that will give us time to do our show, and then we can watch Tennessee in the Maui tournament. Hopefully, they got to get by Syracuse Monday afternoon. Which, by the way, that Tennessee Syracuse game will be next Monday at 2:30 Eastern time, 1:30 Central, which will be like 9 o'clock Hawaii time, and then we will have our show at 7:30. Start a little earlier, and then I'm sure Tennessee will play in the second round of the Maui tournament, either against Purdue or Gonzaga. So it'll be a big time game. Let's see here. Tracy says, can Nico only play a certain amount to keep him eligible for 4 more years? So, yeah, there is a rule. I think it's up to 5 games that he can play and still be redshirted, or can't play no more than 5 games. But, I don't think he hasn't played all 5 games. So you could still use that. But at the same time, you don't really have a true backup quarterback. I mean, maybe Gaston Moore. So, I mean, you can keep him, but I think they ready to roll out Nico pretty soon. Maybe not this year, but definitely next year. But, yeah, it could happen. Joey says, I really like Joe, but I don't think he sees everything on the field like he should, if you understand what I'm saying. Yeah. We talked about that about all year. So much. Thank you, Mark. Says, have a good night. Great show. Go Vols. And they will put Nico in against Vandy. I definitely see that now happen. Jerry says, haven't been to a real game yet, except the spring game. Got to change that. It's a lot of fun now going up to Neyland. I understand the ticket prices can be very iffy and a little expensive, especially trying to take a family. But I really like the changes, what they've done up there, having the 2 jumbotrons, which you saw, Jerry, at the spring game. But it's always fun to go up there and be a part of a college football game. But definitely so. All right, we have almost gone 1 hour tonight. I was a little nervous tonight, to be honest. I didn't know what to expect, especially with Georgia week, because I know we got a lot of Georgia fans that's kind of trolls around throughout this week. But you guys have been awesome tonight. We'll see what happens. As I mentioned, Vol Society Live, we're going to start 30 minutes earlier, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 6:30 for our friends in the Central Time Zone. That give us time to do Vol Society. Of course, I'm not trying to say we're only doing a 30-minute show, but with the possibility with Tennessee in the Maui tournament playing a second round game against a big time opponent, I'm sure a lot of us wants to watch that game. So we're going to do Vol Society Live next Tuesday night at 7:30 Eastern Time, and we'll take you right up to tip off. Hopefully, Tennessee will be in the second round, which I feel pretty confident with that. And thank you, Gregory. Says, have a great night, everyone. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. We're Vol Society Live. We'll see what happens Saturday against Georgia. We know basically either we're going to be 8-3 or 7-4 after this weekend. We shall, or not 7-4. We'll be 9. Well, I cannot remember our record. Anyways, it doesn't matter right now. Thank you, Jerry. We're either going to have 4 losses or have 3 losses at the end of the year, what I'm trying to say. Anyways, take care, everyone. Be kind to each other this week. And like I said, we'll catch y'all back here next week, right here on Vol Society Live. Until next week, this is David Morrison saying have a great night and go Vols.